Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Wellness with Dr. Mariam. Today we have with us a special guest, Sue N. I've just completed an 8-week mindfulness course with Sue N. I am very excited to introduce her to you. And Sue N, thank you so much for agreeing to come onto my channel and share your insights into mindfulness.
You're welcome, and I'm very, very thankful for this opportunity to be here with you today to share together with everyone as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I will do a little bit introduction before we begin. Sue Ann is a mindfulness practitioner, coach, and facilitator. She enjoys bringing the qualities of mindfulness into each experience in her day-to-day moments. Having experienced the wonders of mindfulness, she now wants to provide the same possibility to her clients so that they live with greater joy, peace, and love. And today, the topic of our discussion would be mindfulness and mental health. Would you like to give an introduction to the audience? What is mindfulness?
Thank you very much for that question. Now, mindfulness itself is actually a very big term, and according to the founder of mindfulness in terms of the mindfulness-based stress reduction, John Kabat-Zinn. Okay, so when we talk about mindfulness, we are looking at awareness. Okay, a kind of awareness that emerges because we pay attention on purpose in the present moment. And we are actually adopting a view of being non-judgmental, okay, to the unfolding of each experience, every moment by moment. Okay, so every moment, as it unfolds is actually different. So how then do we actually look at those experiences? What kind of attention do we actually place on when we are actually looking at it? Are we aware of our own internal patterns, okay, our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own body sensations when we are actually dealing with some of these experiences outside of us as well as within us? Okay, so that is actually generally what mindfulness is about. Perhaps we want to give you some examples, right? Okay, say for example, when we talk about mindfulness in eating. When we talk about mindful eating, we're actually going deep into how we actually eat the food. For example, okay, we tune into our sensory experiences, meaning when we look at the food itself, what do we see? It could be the colors, okay, and how does that connect with you? Okay, what kind of thoughts actually comes up to you when you are actually looking at it? So we actually can look into, like, when we smell the food, what kind of memories could we have connected, for example? Or perhaps if you were going to look into even holding the food, okay, if let's say the food can be held, of course, how would it feel like? How babies actually do when they're actually doing looking at the things, they're actually doing it very mindfully. In fact, they're actually looking at it, okay, as though they're seeing it for the first time. Very often, as we are very busy in our day-to-day moments, we actually lose the we find that, okay, these are some of the things, like I already know what it is already, so it's just a vegetable and I just eat it, or it's just rice, what I just eat. Okay, but the thing about it is each time when we eat, the taste may end up different, or even the smell may be different. So how does that actually connect with how you actually feel when you're eating? So when we actually start to pause or to start to slow down in terms of, let's say, for example, eating, then we actually get to understand, okay, so when I'm eating over here, I actually connected to certain maybe memories in my childhood. Then, or maybe I felt some kind of like fuzzy, okay, very warm feeling, like how this food actually came about onto my plate. So many people have been involved just to make this plate possible for me. Okay, so basically there are some of these things that we're looking at, okay, more on the inside level as we're eating, so that we make it a very enjoyable experience for us.
What you say about the, when we are eating and, imagining all the emotions connected to it suddenly the picture of Ratatouille came to my mind. Do you watch that movie, the cartoon?
I did not, okay, but I actually saw the storybook and actually read it to my children.
So the critic loved the food made by Ratatouille because when he ate it, it made him remember his childhood and when his mother cooked that favorite food for him. So it brings that kind of emotion. Then what do you think about now? A lot of people, because of our limited time for lunch, a lot of the people rush through lunch and then the eating time. So what do you think about that?
Okay, it's actually very normal because we only have so much time, right? Within that 1 hour, we still have to queue up for food. We still have to choose the food that we want, pay for the food, find a seat, sit down there and start eating. And then perhaps we need to catch up on our emails, we need to catch up on our, our WhatsApp, okay, and maybe catch up on what is social media, what's happening to our friends, and maybe what's the latest thing they want to talk about, or, some of the meetings that are coming up. So there's so many things going on. But perhaps maybe we want to just put all these things just aside, just for that moment, for that maybe half an hour or so. Give that space just for yourself, for you and your food. So it's actually a time for you to have this relationship with just the way we are eating and just to eat. Because many of us, okay, I would say that if let's say I'm going to talk about, there's this famous phrase about I eat to live or I live to eat. Okay, whichever the case is, okay. So important thing is we want to enjoy our food, definitely. And we also want to eat for health. So the question is, are we able to do both? And of course, the answer is yes. So how then can we actually do that? Okay, so first of all, we make the choice, right? What we want to eat without feeling guilty against some of the like so-called sinful food. We can still buy them. We can still eat, okay, now with, of course, a heart of enjoyment. But at the same time, we can also want to just eat it mindfully, because when we are able to do that, then we actually be able to explore what kind of like emotions are we feeling right now as we're eating it. Perhaps then you do not have that sense of guilt when you're eating it, but you just get to enjoy it for that moment because you really want to have that, right? I mean, you work so hard. This is just a time to pamper yourself. So it's okay to actually just be. Or perhaps you just eat it for health. Eat it for health again. How do we then actually eat it? We want to actually allow the food to go into our bodies and to be work for us. So when we don't eat or chew sufficiently, what happens? We're going to get something like indigestion halfway along the way. Or maybe we eat more than what is required. So to be able to understand how our body works, how much food we actually have that is actually enough for us, or perhaps what kind of food choices that we are making. All these actually comes with mindfulness. So that's why it's important to just embody that, experience it, and then to just allow yourself to just flow with your experiences day to day, moment by moment.
Thanks a lot for that explanation. Something that I've been wanting to ask, why is mindfulness important?
Okay, thank you for that question also. We are actually human beings. So human beings, not human doings. So human, doings, meaning like we always tend to be like always on the go, always doing a lot of things. We always have so many things we need to do. And being in Singapore itself, okay, or in the major cities around the world, okay, there's a lot of things that we always non-stop, okay, a whole list of things that we would like to do for the day, or perhaps a weekly plan, what we want to finish, okay, a task and so on. So it is important in the sense that when we are able to just pause, then we will be able to know what exactly is important for us. What exactly do we really want out of all these things that we are doing? Perhaps it's something that we are seeking. There's something that we're striving towards. And when that comes, it can become very energy draining. So what mindfulness do is to help us to, when we talk about the scientific research, right, that has been done, studies, right, they actually did a study on the brain itself, how mindfulness has an impact on the brain. Because in our brain itself, we actually have this part which is known as the amygdala. So the amygdala is actually there's this little lobe over there that actually controls the fight, flight, and freeze response. So when we can actually get into reactivity easily. Say for example, we can all of a sudden get into panic. Okay, now if let's say there's something unforeseen that happens. Okay, so we get into those modes. But the thing about it is that if there is mindfulness, okay, it actually helps us to put that pause to that part of us to be able to make a more conscious choice. And then to be able to respond in a way that actually works for us in our experience. Okay, so it helps to regulate our emotions. It helps us to think more clearly. So cognitively, okay, we will be able to be sharper in the way we make our decisions. We will be also able to concentrate when we are doing the work where we're doing. So just think about it. Are there times when you are doing the work, but your mind is not even at the work? You could be thinking of something else that's coming up. Okay, and then in the end, you end up taking more time than is needed. and yet you told yourself, I need to finish this by this time. So somehow it actually kind of like, it contradicts exactly what you want to achieve, what you want to have. And you end up like, I really need to concentrate, I need to drink lots of coffee, or perhaps you need to take your supplements and so on. So all in all, you notice that all these things, right, all becomes like, we want to get to complete what we want to do. But the thing is, we might actually derail from this because of the emotions that we are feeling. Okay, there might be a lot of distractions, especially in today's world, with technology and a lot of things that's ongoing in our life, right? A lot of, especially since COVID, a lot of things is unpredictable. So mindfulness actually helps us to be able to step back, to take a pause, to look within ourselves, what exactly do we need? And to be able to be okay, and to be able to accept what we already have done, perhaps right now, how we are at this point of time, where we are right now, and it's okay to be. Not to feel upset if, let's say, something goes wrong, not to feel angry, maybe if, let's say, somebody blame us, okay, or you get criticized, or something happens. Okay, we are able to manage that on an emotional level. And we still can say at the end of the day, we actually have a very good day and be able to move on to the next day when the next day comes, without having to have this memory of, oh, this thing happened, so it's going to be like this the next day, or I am not willing to try the next new thing because there's this experience I had in the past, and da, 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 da. So we'll be able to live more in the present moment. So that's why mindfulness is actually very important.
I think sometimes even myself, I feel that if I had some bad experience previously, and like going forward, I meet a similar situation and I'm supposed to make a decision. Like you say, right? Sometimes it does affect like, oh no, I've done this before and the outcome wasn't good. So that affect my decision. But then if we're being mindful, like today, I am a different person. I am today because of whatever has happened. And I can approach that situation with the me that I am today.
Yeah, you will be able to live more right here and to be able to let go that experience. We often get very connected with whatever happened, that sometimes we feel like, okay, so if I'm going to do something similar again, that thing that happened might happen again this time around, and to choose to procrastinate. Or perhaps you can actually say that maybe I will just not even do it at all. So that goes, the opportunity is just lost in that sense. So then with mindfulness, then you are able to say that, hey, but the experience is just the experience. Could have a lot of factors that have involved, some things you're not even aware of. So now again, coming back to the present moment, you are now with this particular experience. How do you then want to choose a decision that can help you to enjoy this, since you're now having this opportunity again? So it's giving yourself that chance again, and therefore you make it different for yourself. We don't have to live, in the past or what happened. So we can actually come back to the present moment and say that, okay, we are just looking at this as this. We don't have to bring back what happened, or we don't have to say that, oh, I think this person is doing this way. So sometimes we might read other people, right? Then because of that, it affects our decision as well. So now it's just by looking at the thing as it is, looking at people as they are, and then that will actually help us to make decisions more objectively. It's ultimately all about this. It's about giving everything a chance again. Then you're able to leave that moment and you feel happy because you have a different experience and it's possible.
I've read, and also through your course, I learned that when we practice mindfulness, it helps us to be calmer, like to develop the prefrontal cortex, which is associated with making more logical decisions instead of being more emotional in making our decisions. Another course that I learned the term amygdala hijacked. The actual video that I watched was a man holding a lift, and he was in a rush actually, but the lift was quite big. It's like a normal office lift, and people keep coming in. So by the time, I think it was maybe the 6th or 7th person, because every time it's not like all of them came at the same time, is that one person stop the door and come in, and then the door is closing, and another person come, stop the door and come in, until like the 7th time, the man actually got so outraged because he was already in a rush and he was the first person in the lift. What happened was that he took up a gun and point at people. I mean, in that video, he didn't shoot anyone, but that is one of the extreme example that I saw for this term called amygdala hijack. But I guess in probably in our environment here, it might be someone like suddenly get angry and punch people, or like say like, what are you looking at, or why are you staring?
What you did say actually does make a lot of sense. This part about the amygdala hijack, because you experience unpleasant emotions, right? So for example, this man in the lift, he experienced very anger and impatience already, because he has really done his part by holding on is out of kindness, and this whole thing just drag on. And naturally, he gets a bit frustrated because, hey, wait, how about me? I need to get to the place I want to go. And these people just keep coming. And I'm actually like going out of my way to do it. And it's like, so there's actually this I guess there's a back and forth. And because they don't like the emotions that they are feeling, so what do? They try to get rid of it, right? So they're not able to handle that. And when they're not able to handle that, they start to react out of that. So that's a very natural. Actually, our amygdala itself is not no good. Okay, we are all born with that. Okay, the purpose of that is actually to help us to, in terms of emergency, without having to go through the, the logical part whereby you need to think and then you respond, it automatically helps us to, we call it instinctively respond to the emergency in the situations, is to keep us safe. Okay, so in terms of like, correct. So it's like, for example, there's a fire, right, comes. We are not going to stand out there and pause and look at the fire and say, this is what I need to do right now. Take the things. I need to take my keys, maybe the important things like money, my keys, and go out. You will automatically see the fire. The amygdala kicks in. You will just simply run out of the house, for example. Or maybe you should just take your keys and go out. Okay, so it's actually a very instinctive way. And it's actually useful because we need that in us for emergencies. But now the question is, we do not want it to be activated all the time. We need to regulate that because it may not be useful for some situations. And it may actually lead us to, like, for example, the case of the lift case, right? Or maybe somebody punched somebody. They may actually do it in the heat of passion. And then they could have regretted what they said because they couldn't think already. So much emotions over here, they don't know how to actually deal with it. And therefore, they are all acting out of it. Yeah. So then what mindfulness does is to help us to come back to feeling okay, whether it's actually a pleasant or unpleasant emotions, to be okay and accepting of how we are feeling right now. To have compassion, okay, for these emotions, for ourselves. So it helps to build up this aspect of us so that when it comes to any kind of situations like that, we will not be reactive. We will be able to respond more easily. That will not hijack us and our experiences, as well as to affect the people around us or the environment per se.
Amygdala reaction is really important. It's natural, and it's just how to regulate it. So mindfulness helps in the regulation.
Yes, exactly. We can't say that we don't like it and we need to get rid of that because it's just we just need that, but it's just that we do not need it all the time. So we want to be able to build up our our prefrontal cortex to the extent that we are able to make more wise decisions. I think that's everybody's aim. We go for so many causes. At the end of it, is like, how can we make good choices? How do we make wise choices that benefits not just us but other people as well, or maybe this particular situation that we are in? So it's all about this, like about all the balance that we want to actually get in the end. So enjoy the process of getting there without having to strive towards it, because when you start going to striving mode, you're going to start to feel reactive already.
We have been talking quite a bit about this mindfulness. Would you like to show a little demonstration on how do you actually practice mindfulness?
My pleasure. Okay, so all those who are watching right now, you can join together with us. So I'm going to practice a bit of mindfulness with Mariam, maybe just for 2 minutes.